Come on, everybody. Yay. Get on in here. I got my cup of tea. Have you got one yet? It's my Be Still cup. Be still and know that I am God. And that's from Psalms 46:10. So everybody, get your tea. Let's hug a cup today. Have you hugged a cup today? Mine's too hot to hug. Anyway, get on in here. Just been trying to settle down. Ben's really tired, y'all. And he wasn't sent to the prison. That's not home. He wasn't sent to the prison with any pain medication. And no prescribed anything. So, the place is not humane. Not humane. Not happy. Anyway, be still so you can hear what God has in store for you. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. So, folks, thank you for all of your thoughts and prayers. Thank you for everything that you have done for Ben, for all your cards and letters. Still lift him up. Send him a get well card, anything to let him know that you're thinking about him. And hopefully, we know God's going to get him out of there. We know it. We know it. So, folks, we're going to do this. It's time to draw something out of my trusty teapot. I didn't set it up yesterday, I can tell. We're going to get something out of here. We're almost at 200. I'm moving them around. And I have one. We'll set it up for tomorrow. Because tomorrow we get to draw out of the little old owl. Oh my goodness. Coping with toxic family members. We've all got them. We've all had them. And it's difficult. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It really isn't. It is difficult. But guess what? When you are taking care of yourself, when you are flying, you don't allow the things that people say to you to go inside. You have, let me get my little ducky out. I used it this morning. I'm going to use it in. Duck has feathers on its back. It has lots of feathers, but guess what? They repel water. So we need to put our duck feathers on and learn to let the negative things that people say to us, roll right off our backs. We don't have to take that stuff inside. We don't have to. We can repel it before it ever seeps in. So it's just like rolling off a duck's back. You don't have to put up with that. If you're being hit or hurt in some physical manner, you need to get out. But make a plan and do it. Make a plan and stick to it and get out of there. But if it's just words, words are hurtful. Don't get me wrong, they are hurtful. But they're not deadly. They're not deadly. And we can learn to repel those words. Yep, it's kind of like taking a self-defense class. You can learn to repel the blows, but don't live with those blows. But you can learn to repel those words. And it's all about, the Bible teaches us, blessed are the meek. Blessed are the peacemakers. This is all in Matthew chapter 21, I think, but I'm not for certain on that. Somebody look that up for me, where we have the Beatitudes. And blessed are the meek and blessed are the peacemakers. Here's the deal. When we don't respond back to them, we don't flip their switch of anger. We do not flip their switch of anger. It might trigger some other things in them, but when sometimes you can just agree and turn around and walk away. Sometimes you can just act like you didn't hear them. Go about your business. Most of the times, chapter 5, okay, thanks. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Most of the time when those ugly words come at us, they come at us from a standpoint where they're angry. They have a lot of things going on, and we can't allow the stuff that's affecting their life to go inside of you. You have got to put on the duck feathers. Wrap yourself in goose down and duck down and protect yourself from those angry words. And you can do it in lots of ways. Lots of ways. Coping with toxic family members. I have had some family members I've had to divorce. I've had friends that I thought were friends that were toxic to me. They made fun of me. And when that happens, I walk away, and I walk away happily. I don't have any regrets, because when someone is being toxic in a relationship and you allow yourself to stay in it, it's not their fault, it's yours. So folks, let's drink to learning how to deal with toxic people. Yeah, every woman needs some emergency money. I keep a stash. I have a stash a couple of different places. You never know when your purse is going to get stolen and you need to get home. Yep, when you go to family gatherings, they come out of the woodwork. They come out of the woodwork. And some people are not so much toxic as they are just. My granny, she never meant anything hurtful. I know she didn't, because she didn't have a mean bone in her body. But she would say things like, "Honey, you still fat?" If I hadn't seen her in a while, she'd say, "Honey, are you still fat?" And she'd tell Robert I was bossy. So it's she didn't mean anything by it. But, she was a little tiny lady. She wasn't but this big. But you just have to let those things go. Let them go, because that's their personality. But being mean and hateful and trying to pick a fight, that's what I hate. Trying to pick a fight. I mean, I've had bottles of ketchup thrown across the room at me. I've had ice chests full of ice thrown at me. How that happened, I don't know. I don't know how that could even happen. But it wasn't my fault. He was mad at something. But guess what? I had a plan. And shortly thereafter, that plan was implemented. And I was able to get out of that situation. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't removed myself. Let me tell you, this is a funny story. I know many of you've read Pam and Peggy's books. And one of the books is called The Happiness File. And sometimes you can find it may still be on Amazon. But The Happiness File has a section in the book. And it talks about when Pam and Peggy were young, they roomed together, and there was 5 years difference in their ages, and they had an upstairs room in the attic because they had a messy room and their mom didn't want to see it. And instead of running down to the bathroom when they needed to potty, and they lived in Oregon or southern Washington, somewhere up there, where it was wet and damp and moss grew on the roofs of their house, on the roof of their house, they would stick their little bottoms out the window sill, out in the country, out the window, and they would just let it fly right down the eave of the house into two. They would do it in unison into two little rivers going down the moss, and the urine killed the moss in two stripes. Well, one day, as adults, the girls were helping their dad fix their TV antenna. Many of y'all don't know what a TV antenna is, but it was a way you got television reception through the air. And their dad said, this has always been a mystery to me how the moss died in two little strips coming down the roof. And Pam and Peggy never told him. Never, ever told him they used to pee out the window. They used to pee out the window. And I read that passage in the book. And I'm sitting on the love seat, and he's my ex-husband is sitting in his lazy boy recliner. And I am laughing so hard at this story. I mean, I've told this testimonial at Pam and Peggy's conventions and stuff. I am laughing so hard at this story. He looks at me with this evil look and he says, "Nothing can be that funny." And I said, "Yeah, here, read this." And he looks at me and he says, "That's not funny." And I said, "Okay, let me read it to you." Now, granted, I'm not the greatest reader in the world, but I read it to him. I'd read it 4 times, and I had it down pat by this time. And he says, "It's still not that funny." Well, at that point, taking care of me, I said to myself, I don't believe I can live with a man for the rest of my life that can't laugh. And at that point, I started getting my ducks in a row. Getting ducks in a row is a good thing. Making a plan, because I couldn't live that way any longer. I couldn't. Now, it wasn't till a little later that he hit me, but hey, I was ready to go at that point. I was ready to go. And 1/3 of the population doesn't have a sense of humor. They don't understand humor. I personally have a problem with understanding comic strips. And my favorite person in the whole wide world, Scott Adams, is he writes comic strips. And so I try to read them and understand them, but I've never worked in a big office situation in a big corporation. I've never done that, so I don't get it. But I am learning to I do find things funny. I do laugh at the radio, and Robert and we watched this TV show the other night, and it's a funny TV show we like to watch. It's a weird show called The Good Place, and it's a comedy, and The Good Place, the demons at the good place, which is really the bad place, blah blah blah, it's just weird stuff, came up with their theme song. And their theme song was, and if you listen to any radio on the internet, you've heard this commercial. Their theme song was, to get them motivated, was 1877 Cars for Kids, KARS, Cars for Kids. It was I died laughing because Robert and I mute that commercial every time it comes on so we don't have that earworm in our brain. And then we have to sing, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. So we've got to get the earworms out. And laughing is such a big part of mine and Robert's relationship. We don't have a toxic relationship. We don't agree on politics, but we like to talk about politics and understand what's happening, but we don't agree on everything, and we don't have to, because we laugh. We look at politics as a comic performance most of the time because they're doing such stupid things. So folks, get rid of the toxic people in your life. Don't kill them, but, get them out of your head. Don't keep listening to them when they're no longer there. Because that's what's happening. That's the body clutter that's in here. You have incorporated what they have said to you in your brain. And those are the negative things that come out of your mouth because you've heard them in the past. So let go of their toxicity. Because it's toxic, it's poison to you. And let's eliminate that and fill it with good stuff. Fill it with funny stuff. What if they're your immediate family? You've got to learn to not pick a fight with them. You don't want to be picking fights. Because what do fights do? Fights ruin your children. You can't do that to your babies. You just can't. You have got to I know you don't like to hear this, but you got to bite your tongue and don't respond. Because if you're not there to fight with them, go find something else to do. Go outside and plant something, or dig in the dirt, or sweep the porch. Do something to get away from their negativity. You don't have to sit and listen. I have headphones in a lot of the day, and I said something to Robert the other day. I said, did you get this at the store or something? He didn't know I was talking to him because sometimes I'm on the phone talking with the headphones on. And I asked him again, and he said, were you talking to me? And I said, yes. He said, I never know. So I said, well, when I holler down the basement, I have to holler, hey, honey, or hey, handsome, down in the basement to get his attention first because he's focused on something. And then I tell him what I want. So I said, okay, since you didn't know it was me saying it, I can say, Robert, hey, honey, hey, handsome. And he said, that's a good idea. That way I'll know you're talking to me. So he didn't get mad at me, and I didn't get mad at him, but we came up with a plan to deal with it. We just deal with it. Up front, in person, no mincing around things, just tell it like it is. And he said, I never know if you're talking to me. We're together 24/7, except when he goes to the grocery store, y'all. So I am so thankful that he's not toxic, that he takes good care of me. He spoils me rotten. So here's to drinking. This is the drink. Let's see. Here's to not letting the toxicity from those people spew all over you. Let it go. Put on your duck feathers and put on your cloak of what does Harry Potter say? The cloak of invisibility. And go outside. Go get in the bathtub. Go take a shower. anything to get away from them. Go clean the kitchen. Go sit down and read a book and put your headphones on and listen to a book or listen to music. Drown them out some way. But don't answer their fight picking ways, because you're just getting in the dirt, in the ditch with them. You're getting in the ditch with them when you allow them to push your buttons. Don't allow them to push your buttons. Flip the switch. Get rid of the toxicity and don't let it bathe over you, because you do not need to hear that. Drown it out. Well, folks, I don't even know what time it is. I lose track of time when I'm talking. It's 23 minutes. Here we go. So keep Benjamin in your thoughts and prayers. He's in a lot of pain. They didn't even give him anything to truss up his wound. I don't have good things to say about the prison system right now. Nope. I don't have any good things to say right now. So keep Benjamin in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you for your cards and letters and lighting candles and all the prayers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have to learn to forgive these people that are toxic. We have to learn to forgive them. And if you don't know what forgiveness looks like, do a search on the internet, on Facebook, and do a search for the police officer that got sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting her neighbor, who she thought was in her house, but she was really in his house. It happened in Texas. Look that up. Look that up. So Molly's barking. Look that up and look at the video of the deceased man's brother. You're just not going to believe it. You're just not going to believe it. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing, and when you can forgive them, your heart's not hurting anymore. You let them go. And toxic people need to be forgiven, because that's how they were raised. So let it go, and let's love people. Love people. Molly is the name of my granddog. It's my granddaughter's dog, Molly, Ethan's dog, and she doesn't like the UPS driver. Anyway, I love you all. I will see you at 11 o'clock in the morning. We can do this. It's date night. Go have some fun.